Dobro jutro. Spremne?
Evo, snima.
Ma sve što.
Ja isto tako gledam. Zavijama, znači čelo se, apsolutno se suosjećam. Apsolutno. Znamo na prvi put je...
Ne mogu da fiktivne sve.
To sam ono što je Marija poslala. Ne treba nam nije to kvaliteta, što ćemo tamo vidjeti na svoj djel.
Will you start my name? To ste. All right.
At the bottom.
He's running very low, but
all right. Good morning, all. We're going to start with this invited lecture. So it's my pleasure to introduce Professor Emina Hatchett. She has an extensive experience in the field of water resources, civil engineering, taking the role as an independent explorer, designer, supervisor, and site engineer. She has worked almost entirely in the management, design, and supply projects, civil engineering, water protection, environmental protection, wastewater collection and disposal project, solid waste project, as well as some hydrodynamic aspects of ecological problems of water resources, groundwater, and oil. She has worked as a consultant for the Ministry of Economy, Water Resources Sector, and she is the leader of the new master course in the field of protection against natural disaster. She carried out more than 60 domestic projects for the Ministries of Transportation, Environment, Water, Industry, also local government and municipalities. She has also published more than 70 professional and scientific publications, including 5 books and 5 book chapters. So please join me in welcoming Professor Hatchett in the talk Integrated Risk Management of Water, Energy, and Natural Gas System in Southeast Europe.
Good morning to all of you. Firstly, I'd like to thank for the invitation on this conference. It's really a great pleasure to be here today, especially after 2 days very interesting presentations. And as I'm a professor, I see so many young scientists. That's very important to see excellent presentations, excellent presentators, and thank you for all of that. Today, I will speak about integrated risk management of water and energy systems and natural hazards, focuses mostly on the Southeast Europe. As an engineer, I divide my presentations in 4 parts. Firstly, I will talk about problem framing, explain why this topic is important. Then, give some evidence and impacts, pass through some real case study from climate change impacts to impact on water resources, and give some real evidence in Southeast Europe and a little bit wider. Then come to integrated solutions, and at the end, I hope, give some recommendations. Why I think that this topic is very important? Because when we look at climate-related hazard, they are no longer look at isolated events, because their impacts are spreading through all sectors, through water sectors, energy sectors, spatial planning, environmental sector, food, agriculture, every type of sector. And in Southeast Europe, we have real evidence of their negative impact through droughts, floods, and the other natural hazards which affect not only Southeast Europe but almost all the world. And this is the reason why I think that integrated risk management isn't only a technical task, not only technical task. It needs to become government's priority for this part of the Europe. And integrated solution must link all these sectors. We shouldn't look at the sectors by alone, like separate things. We look at this all together. This slide is very important. I know that you already know everything what's on this slide, but it is very important because there is differences between left and right side. Left side shows us long-term trends, land and ocean temperature from 1901 till 2024, and the bottom line shows us how intensified global warming is evidence. But right slide is very important because it shows us the recent 30-year trend that is much more stronger and more specially pronounced all over the world. That is reality, especially in the last 30 years. And this slide just reinforces previous what I mentioned. Previous slide showed just one cross section all over the world. But now you have you could see global ocean average temperature and land average temperature trend in recorded period from 1850 till almost today. And you could see that the last 30 years has increasingly rising temperature. They have still big impact on water resources, but water is essential to life, and water is everything, everywhere in us, in our planet. What it means that if something affects water resources, it affects our society totally. Then also the last slide is very important, the last part of the slide is very important because it told us about global temperature if you look at the last 30 years, the coast of the sea, that anomaly are now the reality. If you look at Europe, the situation is the same. Left part of the slide shows us observed annual mean temperature trend per degree Celsius per decade. But if you look at the scenario, middle and the box scenario, they show us that the temperature is rising in Europe. What is meant for water resources? Water resources is very important because if we know that if a degree temperature is at 1 Celsius degree, if we have, that is mean about 70% more moisture in the air. If you have more moisture in the air, that means unstable climate. If you have unstable climate, that means more heavy rain, more droughts, more floods, more everything what we really don't want to see in our cities and our countries everywhere in the world. And that means I'd like to mention sorry, that integrated risk management is needed to be priority for our governance. If we think how it looks and how climate change impact affect water resources, I know that these pictures are very known everywhere in the world. In the media you can see everywhere the same pictures. If you have scarcity of water, you have picture like on the this part. Problem with water quantity. Also, we have problem with water quality. Very often, situation in our river is something like that. And I especially mention water-related hazards. If you look at water quantity, we couldn't separately look at problem water quantity or water quality problem, because if we have drought, it means worse water quality, means more water pollution in that case. If you have more floods, it also means public health is increasing, or treatment is public health, because problem with flood is very often followed by some epidemia and similar things everywhere in the world. And what is very important about water quantity and water quality, this slide is maybe very often for people from hydrotechnical because it shows some hydrogram river flow. Very useful, similar for the mostly river in this part of the world, for the Southeast Europe, which means that we have 365 days, and this blue line shows us how many flow, how many water we have in the river. We have summer period after snow, and we have maybe more water in our river, but in the summer period and first of autumn, there is big difference between two lines. Blue line is how much water in the river we have, but the dotted line shows us how many water we need from our nature, which means that in this period and this period we have problems with too much water, but in that period we actually don't need too much water because it's winter. In this period, if we have summer, of course, and the beginning of autumn, in that period, we need water for agriculture, and all our needs. That means that we have a really big problem. If we add to this diagram climate change, land use changing, activities which are mostly unplanned everywhere in my countries, but I think very similar situation in this part of Europe, we could say that we really have a big issue regarding water, because we need, when we talk about water, we need enough quantity of water, but also we need enough good quality of water. But we have problems with two components of the water. And I call this mismatch between available water resources and water demand. How look situation in our urban area? We know that urbanization is a global trend, and when we look at global warming and impact on water cycle, we could say that water cycle is intensified, But when we look at urban area, it also structurally changed because of land use. And these slides made me know that, but it's very important because it shows us, for example, if you have 100 of precipitation, if you have natural ground cover, almost 55% go into the soil, which is good for us, of course. But when we continuously urbanization, and the last scenario in the most, if you have 75 to 100% impervious surface, that means that we urbanize all our streets, everywhere, concrete, asphalt, and so on. In that case, we have only 15% of infiltration. What does mean? What is important? 55% of our precipitation is surface runoff. Look at this, 10%, 55%. What's happening in our city today? We have, after intensified rain, we have always floods. That doesn't mean that old grey infrastructure is bad, no. But they designed on the historical data. We need maybe new data. We need maybe new scenario to rebuild or to redesign our grey infrastructure, our drainage pipe, water system, and so on. Maybe we need a different input for that. And what is important also to mention, in this situation, we need natural-based solutions. We need maybe things about sponge city and that solution, because from my point of view, we couldn't think only about nature-based solution and say, yes, this is the best, this is something new, this is something we know. Isn't true from my point of view. Combination grey infrastructure and new green infrastructure give us the best result. We need to use all our infrastructure and add something new, but we couldn't add something new if we don't know what's happened in our land. Because of that, we need integrated risk management, means that we need use spatial planning and include all of our sectors together and prepare some new plan for building new water supply system, new land use for everything, better plan. Now, my famous pictures show us, if someone is from Shanghai, please raise the hand. Shanghai, 1989, nice fisherman place. 15 years ago, it looks like this. And now, like science fiction. Similar situation is everywhere in the world. Show us that we need to really think about water sensitive urban planning, because we say that urbanization is global trend. In Europe for maybe 15 years, we expected maybe 80% of the population will live in urban area. That means that for all these citizens, we need water supply, we need quality water, we need quantity water, we need to waste disposal, we need new water treatment plant, and everything is changed. This is important to mention again, that we need only together cross-sectional thinking. And how to come from global climate change to local risk. I just look at my time. From global signal, if you have, for example, rising temperature or atmospheric moisture and so on, the same climate signal has the same impact on the different regions, because they affect, because the signal becomes a risk only when it interacts with local exposure and vulnerability, which means that in our situation, we need to prepare our society for this impact, to better preparedness. We need to have a better plan how to prepare our citizens for this new scenario. And of course, the same climate signal, summer can lead to extremely distorted floods with so many human losses. But summer, if land of citizen of city of society is prepared for that situation, maybe we will have less economic losses, avoid totally human losses and so on. This is the most important, to build resilient society. This is our main goal. How our citizens need to be safe everywhere in the world. And now I will move to a few case study. First, what I choose is drought in Drina Lim River Basin, because they show not only for 1 year, it is in this region. Usually we have drought which is prolonged through the year, and result of water scarcity is energy insecurity, because we have enough water in our water reservoir. Second example is from Daniel Thessaly, Greece. Extreme rainfall, cascading disruption, so many cumulative rainfall reached about 930 millimeters, and this even show how extreme rainfall can trigger cascading disruption. This is very important across transport, water system, and agriculture. Next example is Storm Boris and the Ablanica disaster. Storm Boris affect Central Europe, and they assume that overall losses were almost 4 billion euros. And the local disaster was the local tragedy in my country in 2024. I will say a little bit more about it. Next, Sdewes. I'm from Southeast Europe. It's Burgas tragedy, Venezuela in 1999. Look at this number. I don't want to say this number. 19,000 deaths. I found after this disaster that is assumed maybe about 10,000 and 30,000 missing people. Do you know what is 30,000 missing people in this area after this disaster? This is so big number. Then European heat wave, 2003, 35,000 exceeds that. Then it is very important, California drought. California drought, maybe 10 years California drought. I will say a little bit more. Water scarcity, disrupt all water system, energy system, hydropower, agriculture system, so many negative impact on this part of California. Now I just show a few pictures regarding European thing. I put this slide because I want to show that this increase means temperature 3 to 5 degrees above average, somewhere 7 degrees Celsius above average, and probably 35,000 deaths. In France, 14,000, probably 15,000 deaths. But I talk about this part of Europe. This is Central Europe. I don't think about my country of Bosnia or Southeast Europe. I think I show you rich countries which already have preparedness system very well developed. Then, as an engineer, I show you some photo of buildings as a result of this drought, destroyed building, as a result of long-term drought in the United Kingdom and in France. Then, I would like to speak about California drought, because 10 years of very quickly shift phenomena between extremely drought, multi-year drought, then suddenly, quickly, extremely floods. After that, quickly droughts, and so, and the scientific community says that that is now normal. That's feature of the new climate regime. This is important. And scientific community call this phenomenon hydroclimate whiplash, and increasingly recognizing it as a systemic response to climate change. Now, Burgas tragedy, and a little bit photo from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Burgas tragedy, which means this is process chain. extreme rainfall affect this part of Caribbean Sea near Burgas, maybe some 100 kilometers were exposed coastal area, and with so many disasters, with so many human losses, and so many unsolved situations already, of course. I'm not sure, do we learn a lesson from this situation? I could say for my country that we didn't learn a lesson. This lesson was happened to 2024. 27 losses were here. The same situation, but smaller area, smaller catchment area. This is maybe 300 meters. What's happened? Heavy rainfall, human activities, deforestation, wildfire everywhere in the catchment area, erosion, then torrential flows, landslide, debris flow, and big settlement impact. Absolutely the same scenario. Then I would like to show some accidental slide from Bosnia and Herzegovina, small river between passenger and wine. Nice summer day. Children were inside before a few minutes. Look at this. For only a few minutes, we were in full of not only water, but also sediment, trees, everything from the catchment area. The result of that is that hazard timing shapes management options isn't the same. React if you have some cases, if you have some rapid onset, or if you have, for example, drought and slow onset cumulative effect of that. For that case, we need rapid events, early warning system, evacuation and operational readiness, slow processes required, monitoring, land use control, and long-term prevention to avoid these disasters. Nice slide is from our Dam project, show us differences when we look at historical and present segment balance in daily basis. We see big differences. Historically, in delta of the Danube River, reached mostly between 40 and 60,000 million tons per year of sediment. Now this amount is 15 to 20 million tons per year. So what's happening? Not only climate change, but also human activity. We build dams, river training walls, changes our land area without any planning, without thinking about disaster risk, we just think about one risk. For example, in Europe we have flood directive, and also because of that we prepare flood risk map. Yes, we prepare that, but flood risk map show us where is flood line. They don't show us what's happened if you have landslide, debris flow together, if you have earthquake, solar, what will happen in that case. All our activities change river morphology. If you change river morphology, that means we have balance of sediment, balance of river, divorce, water quality, water. We will talk about it so long because changes in catchment area has so big impact on our river system, on our river management. And this is, on this slide I try to show that water system, energy system, and natural hazards are interconnected. And, for example, if you have natural hazard, it has a so big impact on our energy. If also low flow conditions makes our energy instable, and we have a problem with energy reliability. Also, energy decision, for example, dam and reservoir operation, change flow regime downstream sometimes can disrupt segment continuity or has so big impact on flow regime downstream, take floodway, retain, and make more safely our system downstream. And for the fourth spatial plane where infrastructure and settlements are located. This determines whether hazards became disaster. This is very important. This is our decision. And I try to include in actually WEFE nexus framework to put hazard impacts and to see what will happen in that situation. If you look at WEFE nexus, we could say that he highlights sectoral independencies, synergies, and the trade-off across water, energy, food, and ecosystem, and it's very important. But if we add natural hazards like impacts to that, we could say that natural hazard use existing interdependencies as pathway for cascading, for moving cascading impacts, and make more losses in all of the sectors. And this is the reason why I think that in actual WEFE nexus, we need to add something more. We need to think more regarding climate change and human impact. We need to think about how impact act across these four sectors. And I try to, with these arrows, show us interaction. We see that everything is connected. Everything is connected. And I would like to mention that natural hazard in the fifth sector. Just cross-cutting, just like in Kyrgyz, just being aware. And if we look at how to solve this situation and who will be added maybe to new approach, maybe we need to add spatial planning and civil protection. Maybe we need to think that all our decisions and the river basin, accordance with the Water Framework Directive, of course, and all the other directive, maybe we think that this context is just four sectors who need to sit together and maybe, depending on situation, on our real situation, to add something new, to give some new data, new agencies, so on. We will think about solution when we have a problem, of course, and to share this platform with the other. And this is the reason why I would like to talk more about the Sendai framework. Sendai framework is very important. Sendai framework is the global UN disaster risk reduction framework. And this framework gave us something like governance directions. And actually, we need some direction because Sendai framework also emphasizes understanding risk, what is very important, strengthening governance, reducing exposure, we talk about it all the time, protecting critical infrastructure and improving early warning systems. And this is the reason why I take some target from Sendai framework and use like checklist and see what Sendai framework called for. This is reduce disaster mortality, reduce affected people, reduce economic losses, reduce damage to critical infrastructure, enhance national and local area strategy, enhance international cooperation, enhance availability of the early warning system and disaster risk information, put some example from this part of the Europe, and give some find some implementation gap. I don't want to read, I just need to say that all of this means that we have so many data, we have so many strategies, we have so many plans on local level, but we couldn't coordinate, we really didn't coordinate them. Just we had so many plans. In this situation, I could explain in my capital of Bulgaria, we had so big problem with landslide in the city. But if we ask people which live in this area, what will happen if extreme rain fall, like for example in Yaban city, what they do in that situation, they don't know. They don't know. Local level doesn't know about our strategies, and we need to connect, we need to prepare new chain, how to build safely society. And how do we move from this policy objective to operational practice? I put here some policy framework from Sdewes, which tells us what to achieve, reduce losses, strengthen governance, improve early warning, protect critical infrastructure, enhance resilience, and what we should show to our integrated risk management and how to achieve that. We need integrated water, energy, food ecosystem, hazard and spatial planning. We need to create a shared cross-sector planning platform, not some imagined platform for active. Combine monitoring, shared intelligence scenarios, support coordinated decision across sectors, implement coordinated risk reduction action. And here I give some operation workflow from monitoring system and sharing data to scenario, cross-sectoral coordination, joint decision using this platform, risk reduction action, and resilient water energy risk system. And I put this arrow because this is more like adaptive monitoring. We need to learn from our lesson. We need to learn from floods, from drought, from everything, and put this side into new management to build resilient society. And I'm taking time. Here I give 5 priorities for Southeast Europe policymakers. Then my colleague yesterday told that when we think about population, they think only for 4 years, but you think long term because you are scientific community and you think not only from 10 years in the future. You use your data from historical data for better preparing a scenario in the future to build resilient society. But we need to prepare some decision for our policymakers. First, share transboundary risk register. There are so many data everywhere in our countries, but it doesn't connect. We haven't. When you start some new project, in my experience, I always have problem with data. I always have problem to collect data and to ask the data, to take new data from every type of project or strategy we do. That we should maybe involve climate risk inform higher power licensing, not only higher power, maybe for our engineering infrastructure. Why? Because when we projected some design of some dam, usually we use historical data. And when I talk with students, I say, yes, it's better to have more data. If you have 20 years, 50 years, 100 years more, it's excellent. Because with more data, you could prepare better design of your dam. But what about climate impact? What about future scenario? Do we need to take scenario impact in our design? I think that we need that. Maybe think about some licensing because we should use this impact during preparing our new infrastructure design. Next is integrated nature-based solution and engineering solution. I already talked about it, that we need to combine the better effects both of them, not only nature-based solution, not only green infrastructure, try to combine all these principles. Then we need maybe harmonized monitoring protocols. I know that in my country, for example, we have synchronized monitoring protocol in all parts of the countries. And how compare if we have some different regulation in one part of the city regarding water quantity, water quality, or whatever, how to compare situation, how to make better plan if you haven't harmonized the protocols. And climate adaptation need to be aligned with Sendai and EU policy framework. I think that Sendai framework and EU policy frameworks are very important and give us so strong tools, and for us depend how we implement that. I think that closing the reflection will be made that resilience isn't a technical fix. For resilience, we need technical capacity, and for technical capacity, we should say yes, we have, there is exist because we have indicator, threshold, model, monitoring, scenario different from different part of the sectors. But they must be connected. We have everything separately. And always surprised when you find some data, some new design, because maybe there exists there somewhere, but we don't know about it. Next, government capacity. Framework exists, but mandates must be coordinated. Water energy spatial planning, climate adaptation, and disaster risk framework must share data, responsibilities. This is very important. Share responsibilities and decisions. And third box is societal capacity. Trust must exist before beginning. This is very important. Because local community must be ready, must be prepared for every scenario. How they will prepare because of because of our actions in our government, because of our action at national level, international level, because all our activities, we should prepare our citizens to be safely, more safely than they are today. And my conclusion is that resilience across water, energy, and natural hazard require technical governance and societal capacity, and to use three of them. I think I'm on time, and I would like for the end to say that something very, what is very connected to my topic. One wise man has to say, plants are worthless, but land is everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. Now we can start the discussion with one question. When coming to recent events, especially from last week, I was just checking on internet that France, and you gave the example of France. During the heat wave last week, they calculated 1,000 excess deaths only for heat last week. And I was also in London last week in the London Climate Action Week. And one of the experts said that was the coldest London Climate Action Week from now on. Because if we don't take any action, it's just going to get warmer and warmer and warmer. And those know that we are basically probably going above 1.5 Celsius, we are also overshooting probably in the next 10 to 15 years. So how do you actually see these changes in weather temperature affecting the region, Southeast Europe-ish region, and how should we adapt in this area for extreme heat waves?
Yeah, so thank you very much. It's very good questions. When you think about France heat waves, you mentioned that the situation there that in that part of France, that climate effect, that heat wave doesn't know before. Yeah, and people were surprised. People don't know, it doesn't have air conditioning. And this is the reason. They didn't prepare for that situation. And this is the main reason for excess damage. And this is maybe very important to mention that preparedness is very important. We must learn from these lectures. As I told about Venezuela debris flow and mentioned Yagonza disaster, we need to listen, learn from our lessons, but we didn't. We just threw out our lections. Except maybe Japan. I'm not sure I have so big good experience because working on some project with JICA in my country and look at their maps. They have prepared maps for every type of hazards. I don't know either anyone from Japan, but I was very surprised how they designed every possible scenario and how prepared their citizens for every possible scenario. For example, in my country, I will later answer also on the second question. Now we try to prepare for the first time evacuation maps. We prepared to flood directive, water framework directive, and everything. We prepared some flood risk map. But then JICA comes to my country and say, okay, we will prepare evacuation map for floods. We say, okay, evacuation map, but people move where they need to go. But the actual situation is that people don't know. What does it mean? It isn't only enough to prepare strategy, to prepare scenario, to prepare maps, hazard maps, different hazard maps. It is very important that conclusions comes to local society. And local society, every citizen needs to know what can do in situation if you have heat waves, flood defense, if you have droughts, if you have, I don't know, floods, debris flow, every type of hazard. People must be prepared. This is very important.
Maybe a follow-up question on Brazilian aspects. I read some time ago that $1 investment in resilience translates into $4 of benefits or savings, right? So if we had $1 in Bulgaria or Saudi or Bosnia, where should we put that single dollar?
Yeah, I find also $1, if you use $1 to prevent some, they say maybe 7, and someone said 16. We have different answer for that. What is meant? The debt preparedness is very important because we save losses later. If you know, for example, how drought affected our houses, we need, like French do after drought in heat waves, they change guidelines for building design because they know after long-term periods of drought, we have low pore pressure, degradation of groundwater level means that subsidation or something like soil or something like that, and they have so big impact on our building. This is adaptive monitoring. This is very important. Adaptive monitoring, when we talk about disaster solution, this is very important. We must learn from our lesson.
Yeah. Thank you. So I want to open the question to the public. Nelen, please.
Well, in Europe, we do store quite a lot of water and energy in snow. Because when it's snowing in winter, it keeps in the mountains. This is a very important part of hydrology cycle in Southeast Europe. But we are going to lose snow in the next few decades until the end of the century. And the question is then, how are we going to adapt to that? I mean, we can adapt our hydropower system to that by building bigger dams, but that's extremely expensive, so most probably it won't happen. We will probably adapt in a way that we will increase the size of turbines, so we can capture more electricity in the times of big waves coming. Yes, exactly that graph will change significantly. But then Christian Behr has shown that with the falling prices of PV and batteries, it will actually become viable to reforest Sahara using desalinated water based on solar PV. It's not going to come tomorrow, but until the end of the century, such an approach could become possible. So these two questions which are on the nexus between water and energy.
Yeah. I don't know, is it a question of consultation, how we could solve that, because it's long-term answering on this question, because this is really the issue. How to improve these balances, because as you mentioned in the springtime, actually under the climate change, now our snow cover is less than before. And if we have snow days, they pass so quickly. And that means that this peak, this bigger peak, what I learned in my elementary secondary school doesn't exist anymore. Because we don't have so much water in our catchment area. We haven't enough water in our surface, we haven't enough surface water. It was very important for replenishing groundwater, but we're also losing our groundwater with all consequences and how to solve it. It will be very, yes, there are so many solutions, desalinization or something like that, but actually problem with water is very important and a very big issue. I need that coordinated action, not only inside boundary of the countries, regions must be more introduced everywhere. Maybe coordination between countries better. On the, like we have Sava River Basin, coordination of Sava River Basin means actually put together decision from Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia and Montenegro regarding, for example, flood wave or something like that. Maybe that will be a solution, working together and share, because we share the same problem. With water quantity, but also water quality. When we talk about less water quantity, we also need to think about less water quality. When I show a slide which illustrates the Danube Basin changes in sediment balance, I forgot to mention that on the Danube River Basin, almost we have everywhere on the places where we investigate heavy metal in the sediment. Heavy metal, what does it mean? We have heavy metal in our river, in our catchment area, in our sediment. A few years ago, I learned my students floods are sometimes very good because it's nutrient for land. But how I now to say this is nutrient because maybe there is heavy metal, and what will be consequences for agriculture, for health of people, if our land is maybe polluted?
We have time for more questions.
Thank you. Cara Bill from Griffith University, Queensland, Australia. In Australia, we have 7 states and territories, all with their own state and local laws and policies. We've got the same language, the same currency, generally the same government, and we still find it hard to collaborate and work together, as you're saying, in a cooperative way. Now, I can imagine in Europe, with different languages and culture and currency and governance and so on, it must be even harder to work together collaboratively. But ultimately, that is what we all need to do, isn't it? Is to work across governments and across countries for it's the same issue everywhere, with the same impact. So I was just wondering, are there examples where there has been some positive collaboration across countries? And you mentioned that communities require trust in the education campaign and the risk preparedness and disaster reduction. But I guess that governments require trust between each other as well in order to work collaboratively for a united purpose. It's tricky, isn't it? I was just interested in your reflections.
Yes. Thank you very much for the question. There is a lot, I think that there is a lot of good example in Europe. Actually, in Europe, we have some very important EU directives which are obligated for EU partner countries and countries which would like to become EU country. Yeah. And like Water Framework Directive, Flood Directive, NITRI, Groundwater Directive, so many directives, which are mostly transposed through our legislation, which means that we have some framework, general, and told to us what we need to look at. And if it responds our legislation, it is easy to cooperate because we have some framework. Framework is very important. This is the reason why I mentioned Sendai framework. This is UN framework, and this is important for all these countries. And as good examples, maybe I mentioned SAVA commissions or ICPDR commission. ICPDR is the Commission for Management of Danube River. Through this ICPDR, mostly we share the countries which belong to Danube River, prepare together GIC, HIC systems, and share data, try to cooperate together. For example, now I'm working on two projects on the Danube River. Very important one is DAME 7 and Q2, which means that we try to make better sediment management and to include our result in the next river basin management plan, because this issue is recognized as very important. And the second project is regarding water balance modeling. We tried, it's very famous. At the beginning, I think that is impossible. But through this project, we collect all possible data from all the countries of the Danube, make some database, like hub of data, do modeling for whole Danube, and also modeling on some pilot zones, and see what will be happen in the actual scenario, and for some future scenario, what will be in the future. Yeah, thank you.
We have time for one short question, one final question. Natasha, please.
Okay, you highlighted the role of integrated risk management over water energy hazards. Do you have any indicators how to measure the added value of integration relative to sector-specific approach? For example, in the energy sector, integration means more renewables, ability to integrate more renewables, higher renewable penetration. But how we can measure the benefits of integrated approach in the risk management?
Thank you very much for the questions. How we measure something I thought would be better for our playing system. Usually we should use some indicator. For example, in actually water balance project and dam management project I mentioned already, every new situation we measure through some indicators, and we choose some indicators to measure actual situation and what will be improved to our actions, to prepare some actions and to measure what will be after that, and just compare. That will be possible, of course, because if we think about integrated risk management, at the end I also put not only water, energy, I put nexus, WEF nexus also, because they need to work together. Because of impacts of natural hazards, all these sectors, and measure and adaptive monitoring using its process. But we need to start step by step.
Right, thank you so much, Professor Kashi, for this interesting presentation. We are just in time to close this invited lecture, so please join me in welcoming again and thanking Professor Kashi for this excellent presentation. Now, I give the floor to Nena.
Thank you. Okay. The most exciting part is only coming. The excursion to Nespol and the dinner, conference dinner after that. But before that, let us see a few statistics about the conference again, and then the future of publishing of your papers, which is probably the most interesting information for you. I hope you had good discussions in this conference, that it was fruitful to you, and that your material will get published in the future special issues. Okay. Thank you, Marco. I would like to just remind you that this conference was organized by University of Zagreb, Instituto Superior Técnico from Lisbon, and Sofia Universities and Kliment Ohridski, who has campuses here in Burgas and also in Sofia, and the Sdewes Center as executive organizer. International Scientific Committee has reviewed your abstracts. These are people that are actually behind all this scientific reviewing process, editing process. They also made a decision on archival papers, so they were inviting reviewers. Half of them are in Stanford 2% list, so those are really top people, and quite a few of them are editors. I would like to thank very much local organizing committee. Please stand up all here in the room who are in local organizing committee. And my special thanks to Renina, because she did most of the local hard work, finding places where you will have fun and, of course, work. Thank you very much again. And then I would also like to thank our reviewers. Those are members of Scientific Advisory Board. They reviewed the papers. We have quite a lot of them. And they are really very, very helpful to the conference. We re-invite them all the time, and they continue to work. But sometimes if they don't deliver, then they get uninvited by the system. So I think this position is should be quite cherished, because this is the pool of people we also look at when we are searching for guest editors. And then guest editors, if they're good as guest editors, they become candidates for subject editors in journals. So how do we find editors in journals? Well, this is the starting point. We had 82 on-site and 20 online participants from 30 countries. 68 papers were presented on-site orally in 12 regular sessions, plus 2 plenary lectures. 5 on-site presentations were not carried out. You know our rules, they will be cancelled from proceedings, and they will not be invited to special issues. But 90 papers were presented online in 12 regular sessions. In case you have informed us in time that you will not be able to come to Burgas and you have done your online presentation, then your paper is safe. Yeah, but just not coming is not really that nice. Virtual conference is still going on. Please log in while you're on the beach in Burgas, or while you're having some other activities, and watch the presentations. You will have a window of opportunity to put questions. Please put questions, whatever is interesting to you. But also a reminder to authors that they have to answer those questions. we're really tough on asking authors to answer online questions because, come on, imagine you are presenting a paper orally on site, and then there is a question coming from the audience, and then you just walk away. Yeah. You know, this is not nice behavior. So we expect you to answer all the questions. Since our system is not yet that artificially intelligent, we send reminders even if you think that the question is not relevant. So answer even to the relevant questions in order to reduce the amount of communication you're going to get from me, reminding you. And then you will say, okay, but this is not really relevant, then I have to go to check if it's relevant. So it's easier to answer until Marco solves the problem of IE deciding is the question relevant or not. Let's now move to post-conference publishing rules. Those papers that are archival papers, we will try to publish them in our partner journals. We are negotiating now special issues for this year. We already have around 20 special issues. We're still negotiating a few more. These are our historical partner journals, so not all of them will have special issues this year, but these journals had special issues with us in the past. We successfully published more than 3,700 papers up to now in those special issues. So that is the reason why our proceedings is just work in progress proceedings. You can, of course, cite it, as you can cite everything, but we don't put it online because we don't consider these papers actually finally published, because we want you to try to publish those papers in a journal, because conference is a place where we meet to discuss your work in progress, to see how we can help you to improve your paper, and then you start the process to archive your paper in a journal. Conference is more ephemeris activity. It's more networking and exchange of ideas. We would also like to mention that we have a journal, Sdewes, which is our journal. If ever you need fast publishing, you can submit there, and also we will open, if there is any need for fast publishing, a special issue in Sdewes and other JSDI journals or immediately after the conference, because other special issues will open only after Gran Canaria conference. We also have Journal of Sustainable Development Indicators. This one also can open immediately, which is edited by Goran Grajic, so you can talk to him. Then we have a Journal of Sustainable Development of Natural Resources Management, which is edited by Peters Varbanov. He's here, so you can talk with him. We can also open a special issue here immediately after the conference if there is a need, and Journal of Sustainable Development of Smart Energy Networks. So these are for quick publishing, but generally special issues are only open for 2 months, and then we wait for the main conference to end. And what we do after that, we invite authors of archival papers only to rank the journals according to where they think they have the best chance to publish in a best journal. So it's a kind of game theory you have to apply to the rank. Because you can't really rank a Q1 closed access journal as second. because they will all get full with the first rank, most probably, because they are oversubscribed, usually 3 times. So guest editors will find enough good papers among those that ranked it first to fill in Q1 journals. So it's better to rank Q2, Q3, Q4 after the first one. First one you can, of course, choose according to what you think is the best chance. You will be selected and then actually successfully publish. If you aim for too high, well, you will get rejected, of course. Your paper has to be good because it goes through a normal review process in the journal. Okay, once you have ranked the papers, and you will be invited to rank papers in September, when we start opening the whole process, then editors, guest editors, or editors-in-chief, or whoever do the selection, it depends on the journal, they will first select from rank 1 papers. And then once they will have 1 week window of opportunity to select from rank 1, and if they didn't find enough papers, good papers for their special issue, then we will open them rank 2. And then rank 3, etc., etc. So once we have offered all Arcano papers to all journals for selection, so after some papers were not selected according to their rank, they get an opportunity to say, okay, I'm fine to be selected with any journal or not. Maybe you have better publishing opportunity on your own. Then, only then, if we didn't fill in some special issues, and it will happen with some special issues, especially those that are not cheap, then we will also open it for conference papers. So conference papers will also get the opportunity to publish, but don't expect Q1 journals. They will be full by that time. So once you get selected and the special issue opens, you get invitation letter. And we need you to quickly react to that. If you don't like the invitation, decline it, no problem. You open a space for somebody else. So be nice, be collegial. Don't keep the invitation open for a whole month. You can make a decision with your authors in a few days. And you will get many reminders from me, unless you accept or decline quickly. But be careful. Invitation letter has to be read. Don't just read the journal where you have been invited and that's it. No, there are many guidelines in it. If you don't follow the guidelines correctly, you are going to be rejected in pre-screening, and that's going to be very unfortunate. So we had recently a change of editor-in-chief in an important journal among our partner journals, and he decided to change way he wants papers to be. And we clearly said that in the introduction letter. What happened that probably around half of authors didn't read it, and they submitted it in the old way, so they got rejected. And the whole special issue, which is usually publishing like 20 to 30 papers, is going to have only 10 papers. Well, I can't help authors, they come to me and they say it was rejected. Great authors, great paper, but it was not written according to the guidelines of a new editor-in-chief. What can I do for you? Come on, you need to read invitation letter. Also, you need to read journal guidelines. Everything is written there. In my experience as editor, 30% of authors don't ever read any instruction at all. Completely, you know. Okay, I know, you buy a washing machine and you think you know how it works. And in most cases, the engineers were so good that they made the washing machine so you can just press a button and it works. But in journals, it doesn't work like that. It's not a washing machine. It is expected not for a general public who are mostly illiterate people. They cannot read more than WhatsApp messages. It's expected that you can read because you're scientists. So read those instructions, please. Let's avoid having rejections just because you didn't read carefully. Also, you need to rewrite paper for the journal, especially the introduction. I mean, your research can be framed in many different ways. So you need to frame the paper according to the journal usual type of papers it's published. Of course, it will be the results and methods, but different journals have different scope. And you have to bring your paper into the scope. If you can't bring your paper to the scope, don't even try to send the paper to the journal, because it will be rejected. And that's a pity. And please don't ask for extensions. You know, you have now it's end of June. You have July, August, and September to work on paper. 3 months. And then when you get invitation at the end of September or beginning of October, then you have 30 days to rewrite the introduction. So you frame your material according to the journal needs. So there's plenty of time. Be prepared. Of course, your paper, which was accepted at this conference, it's still work in progress. I mean, we didn't really ask you to have fully finished journal-ready paper for the conference. What we were reviewing to see, does your paper have novel contribution, and did you use methods and get some results which are correctly framed, but we didn't check, is your paper ready for Q1? No. Yeah. This is going to be done in the phase once you submit it to the journal. Okay, regarding the conference proceedings, please, it's only available to you. So don't put it online, because if you put it online, we are all done. All the papers will be found by Turntine, and everything will be a mess, and then we have to try to put the conference out. You don't have right to put it online. Conference proceedings is not your, you have no copyright over it. But you have copyright of your paper, you can put it wherever you want. But if you put it online, and you say that it was published at the conference, it's done. You cannot send it to a journal anymore. Finished. So, if you are putting it online, don't say it was published at the conference. Say it is a preprint of a future journal publication. That's acceptable. So, this is important to think about, because every year there is at least one guy who does that, and then he comes back crying and saying, I can't publish it anymore, and it was such a good material. Yeah, I can't help that. But copyright is with you. If you have any questions on publishing, now is the time. I repeat, if you need fast publishing, send me an email and ask for any of JSE journals, and we can open a special issue there immediately, and if your paper fits the scope, of course, we can then send it to the review process. But all other journals get open in end of September, probably beginning of October. If no questions, then let's look at the future. The future is in Gran Canaria. The main conference will be from August 30 to September 3rd. Those islands are very special. They're actually in Africa, although we don't call it African Conference since it's the main conference. It is Spain, part of Spain. Every single island is different. So if you want to see very different islands, add few more days of vacations so you can do some island hopping. There is an extremely interesting technical scheme on island El Hierro. Unfortunately, it will be too complicated to organize a technical trip. But I'm going to go there before the conference. El Hierro is an island which has not much water, so practically all water is desalinated. Actually, Canary Islands have all their water desalinated. But desalination is also helping integration of wind power. There is reversible hydropower plants with 2 lakes, and desalinated water gets filled into the lower lake, and then when there is excess of wind, it's pumped to the higher lake, and when there is not enough there is not enough electricity from wind, then it's used to produce electricity. So it's a kind of wind desalination combination. But the islands have a beautiful climate all year long, same temperature around 20, so you will be able to escape from European heats. Beautiful beaches, and we're going to have very nice conversations, panels, invited talks, so please come. You still have 3 days open abstract hall. In 3 days it closes. So after we finish during lunch, you can still submit an abstract. Okay, what about after that? Second African Sdewes conference has been confirmed in Dar es Salaam, and Goran will be chair. So if you have any questions, co-chair, okay, co-chair. If you have any questions, ask him. Tanzania is a beautiful African country, one of my most favorite. And if you have some vacation time in August, I suggest doing a Serengeti safari. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
July.
Sorry?
It's end of July.
Yeah. Okay, end of July, yes. End of July is the conference, but after that, 10-day safari in Ngorongoro, Serengeti, visit Hadzabe people, Maasai people. It's an incredible experience. I've done it, so I know what I'm talking about. I divide people into 2 sides. There are people who been to Africa and love Africa, and people who haven't been to Africa don't know what Africa is. Africa is something completely different. And then our main conference will be in Dubrovnik in October. So you're most welcome to come there. A very successful location. We get more and more people. We are thinking about escaping the prices, but for now it seems it is so popular that prices don't matter. So we say. And then 28. Most probably we will have 4th Asia Pacific conference in January, February in Manila, but we're still negotiating. And then 6th Latin American conference in Monterrey, Mexico in May. And then we are considering to have 7th Southeast European Conference in Brașov, in Romania, which would practically be the last Southeast European country to cover it. But I'm not sure. I'm going to have a invited talk there in end of October, and then I will probably decide. And then the main conference. We were thinking about Greece, but now our founder, she's now Minister of Energy and Environment of Portugal, she said she would like to have it in Lisbon. So we will consider Lisbon, going back to Lisbon. It's a great city where I lived 8 years, so I love it. Okay, so see you there at one of those conferences, and thank you very much. The meeting point for the excursion. Don't go away before you take a photo of QR code of the excursion. We have to eat in front of the district building, district office building, and they cannot wait.
Ok, nećemo se slikati to. Ma nema, daj, moram ići lančati s Michelle od sinoć.
13:55 at the latest. Because the buses will come, you will get in, and then they will leave. They will not wait, because it's not a parking place. So we can't wait. If you're late, take a taxi to Nesebar. It's only 45 minutes from here, so it's not too far. Okay. Then from Nesebar, it's the same problem. We can't park there. So you have to be there at the exact time. And then, if anybody doesn't want to go for excursion, he can come directly to the restaurant, which is announced on the webpage, I hope. Yeah. So, see you soon. Let's have lunch now, and the conference is, scientific program is closed, but let's continue with fun. Thank you very much. Yes, please, local organizing committee for a photo. Let's have local organizing committee for a final photo. But Maria is missing, so...
Sad kad kažeš...
No local organizing committee photo.
Samo jedno.
Mora.